Welcome to Facts TV News, where everything is true.
16-year-old student, correctional officer, gunned down in Highgate Saint Mary. A double murder shattered the relatively quiet Highgate Saint Mary on Sunday as a 16-year-old student and a prison warder were shot dead by a gunman in the community. The victims have been identified as Nathan Sigri, also known as Spazzy, a student of Guys Hill High School, and Giovanni Marcus Higgins, a 22-year-old correctional officer. Both deceased are from capture land in Highgate Saint Mary, the police stated. According to information received, about 6:30 p.m., both victims rode up on a motorcycle at a playfield near the St. Mary High School in Highgate when a white Toyota Axio motor car approached. The police say two men alighted from the vehicle and opened gunfire on the victims, hitting them all over their bodies. They were taken to the Port Mary Hospital, where both succumbed shortly after. No motive has been established for the attack. Off-duty cop shoots cabby at betting shop in Kingston. An off-duty policeman shot and injured a taxi driver at a betting shop in East Kingston yesterday afternoon. The cabby, 53, allegedly attacked the cop with a knife and was shot. The cabby has since been treated at hospital, and the Independent Commission of Investigations INDECOM has launched a probe into the matter. Reports reaching reporters are that, about 12:20 p.m., the cop, a constable who works in the St. Catherine North Division, was at the outlet when an argument developed between him and the taxi driver. Police say the cabby pulled a knife and threatened to stab the policeman. He then advanced towards the cop with the knife and raised his hand in a stabbing position. The cop, in fear for his life, the police say, pulled his service pistol and discharged 2 rounds in the man's direction, hitting him twice in the left leg. The injured man was assisted by residents to hospital, where he received treatment. Man shot and killed in Seaview Gardens. Police are trying to determine the motive behind the shooting death of a man in Seaview Gardens, St. Andrew, yesterday morning. The victim has been identified as Donovan Anthony Collins, also known as Sarge, a 59-year-old vendor from Mapleview Road, Kingston 11. Reports reaching reporters are that about 11 a.m., residents reported they heard loud explosions sounding like gunshots near the gully on White Sea Drive and called the police. Lawmen arrived and found Collins lying face down in a pool of blood with what appeared to be gunshot wounds to the face and upper body. He had been shot several times. He was rushed to the Kingston Public Hospital in a marked service vehicle but was pronounced dead on arrival. The police are pursuing several theories in order to determine a motive for the killing. 14-year-old boy attacked infield over girl. A 14-year-old boy was attacked and stabbed by several people in an apparent feud over a girl in Mandeville, Manchester on Saturday. Police have confirmed the attack and reported that the child was set up by 5 other boys and 2 men at a restaurant off Ward Avenue in the town. The injured boy has since been admitted to hospital. According to the police, initial investigations have revealed that the incident occurred out of an issue with a female with whom the victim and the suspects had been feuding recently. Information reaching reporters indicate that at about 8 p.m., the boy was among some friends who were attacked by a group of knife-wielders accomplices who stabbed him in the abdomen and chest. He was rushed to hospital, where he was immediately treated and admitted in stable condition. The police have since launched a manhunt for the suspected attackers. Hanover elderly man killed by bus overtaking line of traffic. A 59-year-old motorcyclist was killed in a motor vehicle collision along the Industry Cove Main Road in Hanover on Saturday. He was reportedly killed by a bus that overtook a line of traffic. The deceased man has been identified as George Kelly, a laborer of Prospect District, Green Island in Hanover. Police reports are that about 4:10 p.m., Kelly was driving his motorcycle along the Industry Cove Main Road, heading from Green Island towards Lucy when the collision took place. Allegations are that upon reaching a section of the road, a Toyota Vaxi motor car traveling in the opposite direction overtook a line of traffic before heading into the path of Kelly. Police investigations are ongoing. Patron at Hanover Wake shot dead, 2 policemen injured during confrontation. The Independent Commission of Investigations INDECOM is currently investigating an incident in which a patron at a wake was shot and killed by the police in Hanover Sunday morning. 2 policemen also received injuries during the incident. The deceased man has been identified as 24-year-old Avada Samuels of a Mount Pleasant district address in the parish. Reports are that around 4 a.m., the police went to a location in Mount Pleasant where an illegal wake was taking place to shut down the event. However, residents who reportedly opposed the police presence began stoning the lawmen. A confrontation reportedly developed between Samuels and the police. It was at this point that Samuels was shot. One of the lawmen received an injury to his head from an unidentified object. The other reportedly received a shot in the hand. No illegal gun was recovered from the scene. The incident is currently being investigated by Indicom, which is in its process of identifying witnesses who can assist with their investigations. Indicom's Director of Complaints for Western Region, Errol Chatu, told reporters that the scene was processed, the officer's gun seized, boxed and will be sent to the government's forensic lab to be analyzed. We continue to appeal to witnesses who are able to assist with the investigation to come forward and assist us with statements. Senate approves $1 trillion budget. The Senate has approved the appropriation bill, which outlines how the government will spend the $1 trillion allocated in the budget for the upcoming fiscal year. In piloting the bill, Commerce Minister Senator Arbril Hill said that the budget is formulated to ensure achievement of the overall arcing medium-term debt-to-gross domestic product target.
The fiscal program aims to support the objective of reducing the public debt and debt servicing costs, thereby creating fiscal space to facilitate growth-inducing expenditure. Accordingly, Mr. President, achieving the required fiscal balance and the corresponding primary balance remains a priority, as these are the operational instruments being utilized to attain a public debt of no more than 60% of GDP by the end of March 2028. The fiscal surplus is budgeted at $8.66 billion, or 0.3% of GDP, while a primary surplus of $145.24 billion, equivalent to 5.5% of GDP, is projected for fiscal 23-24.
Meantime, Government Senator Mattis Samuda cautioned that Jamaica should not squander the economic gains made over the past few years.
Our economy has demonstrated the resilience paid for by fiscal reforms started in 2010 with the Fiscal Responsibility Framework by Minister Shaw, accelerated by Dr. Peter Phillips when he was Minister of Finance, and consolidated by Minister Shaw when he came in 2016. But Mr. President, we must acknowledge that Minister Clark is building on this foundation at an unprecedented rate. The speed of reforms are globally celebrated. The graph, however, doesn't quite tell the full story. It is the Jamaican people who faced nearly $60 billion of annual increases in tax measures during the PNP's last term at the wicket. It is the hard-working men and women of the civil service who held strain and paid the bill for this recovery. It is the private sector that participated in 2 successful debt exchanges across administrations. It is a Jamaican victory. The people of Jamaica have invested heavily and wisely. We must not squander their investment with the reckless calls of unpopular populists.
Path to be reviewed following concerns raised by opposition, says Clark. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark has indicated that the program of advance through health and education path is to be reviewed in light of concerns raised by his opposition counterpart. Last week, Julian Robbins pointed to issues with the selection of path beneficiaries and called for the program to be revamped. In responding to the concern on Tuesday, while closing the budget debate, Dr. Clark said the Labour Ministry, in collaboration with the Planning Institute of Jamaica, will review the program. Dr. Clark said the objective references used when PATH was created years ago are not relevant today.
The opposition spokesperson, Madam Speaker, raised the issue of the targeting methodology used by the PATH program in light of his observation that persons who one would think ought to qualify are sometimes denied access to the program. And I know that other members of the House share this observation, and I consider it a valid point. Allow me, therefore, Madam Speaker, to update the House and him that the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, in collaboration with the Planning Institute of Jamaica, where the technical expertise lies, will be reviewing the targeting approach of the PATH program. It's important, Madam Speaker, to note that in the absence of reliable income data, the PATH program needs objective criteria that correlates with and can be used as predictors of poverty. So we can't ever get to a stage where it's what somebody think. I think said, or my belief is, or I know this. No, it has to always be an objective reference. But objective references have to change over time. The objective references that we used 20 or 30 years ago, 23 years ago, when the PATH program began, are not relevant for today for a number of reasons and a variety of reasons. So working with the PIOJ, Madam Speaker, we're going to be able to run the regression analyses based on the data and survey of living conditions to look at the correlates to poverty in today's Jamaica and see if we can adjust and update the screening and targeting mechanism.
Please remember to subscribe, like, share,